I learned my family had sold me on a Sunday. There wasn't a big fight. There wasn't a moment of weeping or begging. My mother was in the kitchen, stirring a pot of beans, the smell thick and warm, the afternoon sun caught in the lines on her face. She didn't look at me when she spoke. "Don't wander far tonight, Jennifer," she said. "They'll be here for you after sunset." "They?" I asked. She stirred slower. "Your buyer." I laughed. The kind of laugh that comes when you think someone's gone too far with a joke. But she didn't laugh back. And when I looked at my father, he didn't look at me at all. My younger brother was half hidden behind the couch, his eyes wide but saying nothing. When the sun dipped into the tree line, a black car pulled into the drive. The engine made no sound. The man who stepped out wasn't quite a man. His skin was pale, but not in a way that meant sickness, more like the color had been drained from him. His hair was slicked back and black as oil. He wore a long coat that brushed the tops of sharp, old-fashioned boots. "I am the caretaker," he said to me directly, voice deep and smooth like water over stones. "You have been purchased by the hotel. What? You will see." He didn't even look at my parents. My mother ladled another spoon of beans into her bowl. My father lit a cigarette. "You have to understand, your brother can give us glory, take care of us in our later years, help provide for the family while he's young." My father looked at me with cold eyes, while he took one, then 2 puffs of his cigarette. I hoped against hope that he was joking, that this was a scare tactic for me doing something and the scary men with their scary van would just go away. I hoped that none of this was real, but the way my father looked at me shattered my illusion. Those that went to the dead hotel were never seen again. "You, daughter, are just another mouth to feed. Once you marry, you will be gone. You will bring nothing more to this family, so get gone, girl." The caretaker opened the back door of the car. "Get in, Miss Dunhan." I stepped forward without thinking, my body moving even though my mind screamed at me to run. But before I did, I turned to my traitorous family. I might be a so-called burden, even though I do twice as much work as Johan ever did around this house and on this land. I broke my back for you because you were my family, but no more. I would rather work off whatever torture awaits me than spend another moment with a mother who would sell off her daughter, a brother who does less but eats more than 2 of me, and worthless father who blames his inability to provide on his daughter. The road to the hotel was longer than it should have been. No matter how far we drove, the night outside stayed black and starless. When the trees finally parted, I saw its 6 stories of crooked architecture, leaning as if the wind had pushed it for centuries. Every single window glowed yellow. It felt alive, breathing, watching. Inside, the smell was a mix of damp stone, candle wax, and something sweet going sour. The chandelier above us was cracked and hanging by one chain, swaying although no wind touched it. The caretaker stopped in the center of the lobby. His eyes gleamed, almost silver, but when he looked at me, there was no malice, no ulterior motives. He just assessed me, saw me for what I really was: angry, betrayed, determined. "There are 4 rules," he said. "Normally, I don't offer what I'm about to offer you, but I like you for some reason. Normally, the girls that are sold here never leave, or if they complete the riddles, they're allowed to leave, but the hotel collects a tax from their souls. Sort of like paying for a room that no one ever wanted to stay in. Complete the rules, and your soul will be returned to you. Your complete soul. And because I like you, and pity what your family has done, even though I have seen countless girls over the centuries who have had fates just like yours, I will give you one of 3 choices. If you solve the rules, you can either leave with $1 million, 1 wish, or..." The caretaker trailed off but didn't elaborate on the 3rd reward, and I was too tired mentally and spiritually to pursue an answer any further. Fail a rule. His mouth curved into something too sharp to be a smile. There still was no mirth behind his eyes, nor malice, but the way his eyes glowed, that eerie silver, unnerved me to my very core. "And you will remain here. Forever." I swallowed hard. "And my family?" The caretaker turned and began to walk away. "They already have what they wanted." He turned, gesturing for me to follow. "Come. Riddle 1 begins now. The first rule, the room of whispers. The hallway we entered was long and dim, lit by wall sconces whose flames bent away from me when I passed. Every door was numbered until the last one. That one was black, the number plate missing, its surface faintly warm under my fingertips. The caretaker opened it with a key that looked like it had been pulled from deep water. "You will stay in this room for 1 hour," he said. "The walls will speak to you. No matter what they say, you must not respond. Not a word, not a sound. Fail, and the hotel will claim your voice first. And the rest of you peace after, agonizing peace after." He shut the door, leaving me alone. The first few minutes were silent except for my breathing. The wallpaper was peeling in thin curls. The air was thick, heavy, then faint at first, a sound like murmurs through a wall. "Jennifer." The voice was soft, almost tender. Another joined it. "We know you're hungry. There's food behind you." I didn't turn around. I sat heavy and weary. The voices multiplied, becoming a chorus. My mother's laugh, my brother calling my name, my father's low apology even though I know he would never apologize. He had no remorse, but just hearing his voice tell me that he loved me, that I was appreciated, and that he was sorry for what he had done almost made me cry out. Almost. My father apologize, a thing I'd never heard in life, nor would I ever hear. Then the tones shifted lower, wetter, like something crawling inside the walls. They cheeped and crawled, first sounding like wet plopping, then like the legs of countless creeping, crawling creatures. Then the sensations began. I not only heard the creeping, crawling creatures, I felt them on my skin, their razor-sharp feet crawling over my skin, rasping, burning wherever they touched. "Say it," a voice hissed close to my ear. "Say you want out. Say it." The air moved against my ear, warm and damp, though no one stood there. A sharp sound, nails dragging along the inside of the walls. Minutes stretched. The voices began screaming all at once, every word jagged, furious. I pressed my hands over my ears, but the sound was inside my skull. The hands pushed and pulled. I felt like I was being ripped apart bit by bit. "Say it! Say you want to leave." My head began to spin. At one point, I saw my body on one side of the room headless, and while my head lay on the other side of it. "Say it," the voice screeched. But I kept my lips firmly clamped together. I was in immeasurable pain, but the determination to survive, fueled by spite and rage and hatred for the people who were supposed to love me, fueled my silence. Then, without warning, it stopped. The door opened. The caretaker studied me. First rule passed. His tone held the faintest note of silent pride. My world went black. I felt weightless, like I was no more. Rule 2. The mirror hall. We climbed a staircase that felt endless, its banisters slick under my hand. On the 3rd floor, the caretaker stopped at a warped silver door. "Through here," he said. "A hallway of mirrors. You must not stop. You must not touch the glass. What you see will all be lies." I stepped inside. Mirrors covered the walls, the ceilings. Row after row of mirrors. Curved mirrors. Slanted mirrors. Mirrors carved in one shape or another. Some of the mirrors were gilded. Some were the mirrors of the peasant class. The first mirror showed me as I was messy hair, sweat on my brow. The second showed me clean and radiant, dressed in silk, standing beside a man whose face was blank but whose arm felt warm around my waist. I kept walking. Other mirrors showed monsters reaching towards me, one image so grotesque, so lifelike, that I stumbled and almost crashed against another mirror behind me. Before I hit the wall, I twisted my body so that I would hit the floor face first, but still not touching the shiny surfaces. I looked up, blood trickling down my nose and running into my mouth, so find that not only were there mirrors on the walls and the ceilings, there were mirrors dotted along the floor in tight patterns. The images rolled and merged together, making me dizzy, my fall adding to the fog in my mind. I began to pick my way through my mirrored hellscape. One mirror showed my body on the floor, eyes open, mouth slack. Another showed me back in my family's kitchen, my mother smiling, ladling beans into a bowl. That one I knew was a lie, but still gave me pause before I continued my journey. "Stay," the reflection mouthed. I froze. The caretaker never said anything about the mirrors talking to me. Well, he did say they would lie, so I guess talking wouldn't be so out of the question. I clamped my lips shut and continued on. Halfway down, my reflection stepped out of the glass. She was me, but her eyes were brighter, her skin flushed, her lips moving in frantic whispers I couldn't hear. She reached for my hand. I walked past, stumbling forward. Just ahead there was a mirror filled with darkness, the end I hoped. One step after another brought me towards the mirrored darkness. 3 more steps till I reached the end, when suddenly I felt hands behind me pulling me backwards. I stumbled, almost stepping on a mirror on the ground. I looked behind me to find the me that I just walked past, dragging me towards her mirror. Her nails bit into my skin. "You will not escape," she hissed from everywhere. The walls echoed her voice. Something swept under my feet, trying to trip me. I caught myself, but I felt the tendons in my ankle stretch to the side. Damn. I rolled my ankle in my haste to escape. The other me pulled harder and harder, trying to force me into the mirror. I struggled and pulled, but it was no use. The other me was so strong, and I was so tired and in pain from me rolling my ankle that I almost gave up, until I remembered the caretaker's smooth voice telling me that I would be rich, or have any wish that I desired. The caretaker, as cold as they were, gave me choices. Something that my family shamelessly stripped from me, and I would be damned if I allowed a shadow of myself to strip that from me. "Come to me," the other me crooned. "Like hell I will." I roared and bit it. The thing roared. I looked behind me. I see the mirror me shift and contort into something that looked like me, but didn't. I bit down on the other arm that held me until a dark liquid gushed into my mouth. I retched and spat out the liquid, but some of it trickled down my throat. How can something be slimy, cool, and burn all at the same time, I wondered. The mirrored beast's grip on me loosened just long enough for me to pull away and sprint towards the mirror, filled with darkness. Every time I put weight on my ankle, fire erupted up my leg, but I pressed on. I either ran for my life or I was consumed by this damnable hotel. 1 step, 2 steps away from the mirror. I ran. I didn't look back. I knew the monster would be there. So why look back? I didn't even stop to think that the caretaker said that I shouldn't touch the mirrors. I just launched myself into the darkness and hoped that I would still have my soul on the other end of the darkness. He said I can't touch the mirrors. He never said anything about darkness. The rules weren't fair. The hotel wasn't fair. The caretaker opened the far door. His silver eyes lingered on me longer this time. Second rule passed. I collapsed on the ground, sobbing. Rule 3, the black elevator. The elevator waited at the end of a short hall, its doors rusted, the metal groaning as it opened. "Step inside," the caretaker said. "Another will join you. Do not speak to them. Not even a single word." The inside was dim and smelled like damp concrete. At the 4th floor, the doors slid open. A tall man in a dark suit stepped in. His face was in shadow, his suit sharp and tailored to his body. The elevator descended agonizingly slow. After a moment, he spoke. "Do you know where we're going?" I stayed silent. "I can help you," he said. "I know the way out." The air seemed thicker now. His shadow spread unnaturally along the walls. "I know what they took from you," he whispered. "I know what your family traded in your place." I bit the inside of my cheek. Floor 3, then 2, 1. By the time the doors opened, the walls pulsed with his shadow, engulfing me and everything else in the small space. I stepped out. The caretaker was waiting. 3rd rule passed. Almost done. Almost to freedom. Rule 4, the feast of the hollow guests. The ballroom at the top floor was blindingly bright. Tables overflowed with jeweled fruits, steaming meats, pastries dripping cream. Every chair was filled pale faces, glassy eyes, jerky movements. "You must eat nothing," the caretaker said. I sat at the head table. A servant with no face placed a goblet before me, filled with thick red liquid. Plate after delectable plate was set before me. With all the commotion that had been happening, I realized at that moment that the last time I ate was just before I was sold off. My mother's voice, warm, loving, whispered, "Just a bite, baby girl." The hunger was unbearable now, in my bones. My hand twitched. I reached for the fork and knife, the metal weighty in my hands, just begging for me to stab it into a juicy piece of meat, to scarf down the delectable vegetables, guzzle whatever liquid was in the goblets. I wanted to indulge myself, but I stayed firm. Plate after tantalizing plate I refused to eat. $2 million, a wish. Freedom. I pushed the plate away. My eyes watered from hunger. Suddenly behind me a hand shot out and grasped my chin, trying to force it open. I looked behind me to see the butler who was once serving me food, trying to now force it down my throat. "Come, come, little one. You must be starving after coming all this way. Your family would be ashamed at all of the bounty that you are wasting." The pressure on my jaw became more and more painful as the faceless man pressed on my pressure points to try to get me to open my mouth. I shook my head, tried to push him away, but the thing had an unnatural strength to him. Even after I tried to push the chair into his torso, the man's grip still wouldn't slack. Rage overtook me. I was almost finished with this damnable trial. I snatched the fork from the table and drove it into the neck of the butler. The faceless thing screeched, and then there was applause. The butler held its neck slowly collapsing to the ground, black blood pooling around my chair. The applause around me got louder and louder. The shadow man gurgled from somewhere inside its darkness, and then the thing went still. The room got bright. The caretaker appeared, holding a heavy black pouch. He emptied out 3 shining colored marbles. "The hotel honors its bargains. Your wish, the money, or the third option is for you to stay here and become a caretaker. A house by the sea, paid for, safe, mine forever. Enough food, enough books, enough quiet to last the rest of my life, enough money to where I will never have to see or speak to my family again," I said immediately. He nodded. "Granted." When I stepped outside, the hotel was gone. The lot was empty, and I was standing by the sea in front of a large cottage, key in my hand. I was finally free. I didn't look back.